Hello, friends, a very warm welcome. And in this series of continuing questions, let's see what these five questions can make us learn. And again, I'm reiterating the themes and ideas. They are very much innovative, and also it is a repository of a great knowledge. So kindly make your own notes. And if you're able to write answers, then you must cross check answers. And if you want to join us, always welcome. We can look forward to it. First question says, what are the major drivers of the what are the major drivers of glacial retreat in Arctic? So it's a specific question which is linked with the Arctic, but couple of features will be common to the glacial retreat in Antarctica and also glacial retreat in Himalayas. Describe the potential impact of the retreat of Arctic glaciers on ecosystem. Again, there will be specific ideas with respect to Arctic, but there will be many common areas with respect to Arctic. So you have to first bring the whole global idea that if you're aware of that, what can glacial retreat lead to in the longer run and in the immediate run, then it can be a very beautiful question. If you are bringing flora and fauna, then half marks more will definitely be coming up. So, World Meteorological Organization states Arctic glacier retreat will raise the sea level faster than expected 10% and can become next geopolitical hotspot with increased accessibility. I think it's very much on track. Good introduction. Major drivers are climate change, UNFCCC, curbing temperature of rise 1.5 degrees centigrade. It seems difficult. Very good point. Weakening of polar vortex, longer duration of heat waves in Europe. Again, wonderful points. Ozone hole and rising insolation amplifying the process of retreat. Very true. Albedo impact. That's what we talk about. Albedo effect. Rising human habitations and industries towards north of Russia, European nations. That is anthropogenic. I think fair enough drivers have been given. All the drivers have severe repercussions on the intact ecosystem in polar and tundra region. That is IPCC's sixth assessment report states about. And the potential impacts is the release of stored carbon in the atmosphere, 1700 billion metric ton, permafrost thawing and release of unknown pathogen, safety of biodiversity under threat, polar bear already vulnerable by IUCN, increased anthropogenic interference, for example, North Sea trade route, mineral exploration. We can talk about far east of Russia also, and at the same time, we must speak about also the long-term changes which are visible, not only over there, but also the complete of the northern hemisphere. Global agreement on secure and sustainable use of North Sea, for example, UN and G77. First, most importantly, if we want to stop the retreat of Arctic glacial melting, then we must be speaking about anthropogenic factor that must be coming up first, and then we must have agenda clarity over that how it will be used, as because Russia is very much interested in it, is moving on, it is having the greatest wealth over there, it is having Russia is in fact the country in the world which is having the largest share of natural minerals in billions and billions in dollars. That is why we must think about the sustainability of the planet and not about the growth and the power reflected through a country or through a subcontinent. So settlement of EEZ claims by Russia and China, that is only one point. Minimizing intervention in CDRI, disaster preparedness. We must bring the role of India also, because India is also part of the NATO Observatory Council as a member, and it is having an observer status. And secondly, we must also see that the kind of R&D which is required with respect to Himalayas and even melting of ice in Antarctica, as I just said, these two three factors, and bringing more of one line more at least on not just polar bear but also about other wildlife flora and fauna is very important when we speak about Arctic. One line on how the melting of ice is actually creating a different ecosystem altogether of we just spoke about northern trade route. So uska kya hoga, what kind of impact it would be there. One line would have been good enough. But fair enough, space tourism, which was viewed as something straight out of science fiction movie, is now becoming a reality, albeit not without hindrances. What are the challenges associated with space tourism? So the global space tourism market is projected to grow US 25,000 million by 2030 at CAGR of 45%. I think wonderful start, very good point. And challenges are affordability, restricted to privileged section, costs 2 lakh US dollars and higher per seat, blue origin, safety, still in infancy stages, for example, SpaceX, NASA, emerging players, concretization of power and monopoly, capital intensive, financially draining India's financial draining. India's share is about 1%, if I'm not wrong. Will it be reality in developing countries? Very good point. But then one challenge is in fact what kind of sustainability it can have, what kind of pollution it will create, or what kind of, again, it is a kind of a human venturing, and we are unaware of the long term consequences. So are we going to create more space debris, more space pollution, more space waste? That kind of thing must also be taken care of. Is this priority? Or, I think, wonderfully started, very good points. Amendments needed in outer space treaty to include the interest of global south. Space is a global concern, and space race or materialization of space contradicts the equitable access to all. It must be addressed. Developing a common global understanding over the concerns to increase transparency and accountability must be there. Regulation of rising role of private entities like Virginia, Glacial, and SpaceX. Definitely, this is a very good point. Therefore, ethical usage and equitable benefit sharing must be guiding principle in space tourism, as followed by India. One can bring even the idea of that, like in case of tourism here, we are now understanding that sustainable tourism, carrying capacity, and even eco sustainability is required. So, same will be coming up with the space also, and space is a very delicate, unventured territory. So, those ideas must also be brought here. That is missing. Global health experts widely believe that the development of CAR T cell therapy can be a game changer in treatment of cancer. How can CAR T cell therapy overcome the limitation of CRISPR-Cas9 technology? Actually, it is addition to you know uh, CRISPR-Cas9 technology. It is adding to it. It is actually bringing more benefits and more ideas. So CAR T cell therapy and CRISPR-9 are revolutionary development. बिल्कुल सही बात है, एरिना with promissory results. यहाँ पर एक ड्राइंग होनी चाहिए थी छोटी सी. Results in cancer treatment, ICMR, 15 million cancer patients in India. CAR T cell game changer कैसे है? More precision based targeting accuracy, microtumors, personalized cancer treatment and effectiveness, higher success rate, 60% in blood cancer treatment, WHO, less chances of relapse rate and one-time treatment, stem cell pluripotent use in therapy and blood plasma. Very good points. Overcome challenges, less side effects of CAR T cell treatments, minimal chances of error as target based, faster and better results, no external elements inserted in body, less possibility of genetic mutations unlike CRISPR Cas9 technology. बहुत अच्छा बना है, जीन एडिट इसको सेंटर में आना चाहिए था. Challenges of CAR T cell therapy, high, expensive, cost 5 to 6 crores, available in multi-specialty hospitals and limited reach, increase in public sector role, PMJ, trained healthcare professional to realize universal healthcare. Therefore, SDG 3, good well health and well-being can be achieved. So I think an idea is being emerged, and we have to bring the all elements are being actually visible, but a little bit higher level of penetration to this next level, what public sector undertakings have been doing in this regard. And secondly, when we are bringing a graphic representation, it will be a game changer. Discuss why the rising deployment of new and emerging technologies by prominent violent extremist organizations demand concerted global efforts. Very broad question in terms of developmental security, development, poverty, extremism, and also in terms of disgruntled and marginalized communities and even regions. All this is reflected. So that is why concerted global effort is required by state and non-state. It is about non-state actors. So new and emerging technologies used by prominent violent extremist organizations. We use. So we use rising reliance on emerging technologies like AI, drone, blockchain, crypto is a global security threat. UNSC committee ने बोला, लेकिन the point is that one has to write over here also that violent extremist organizations, somehow they are patronized by many state actors also. Non-state actors thrive in collaboration with the state actors when they have vested interests. That is why it is very important to follow India's ideology. It is very important to follow India's stand on this. This kind of language must be there everywhere. India must come up. Like in case of, that's why I said PSUs must have been there in the first in the previous question also. Encrypted, hard to trace, borderless attacks, minimal human loss and lives, great amplifying power, increased ease to access to finance. It needs immediate and urgent and global attention and consensus. Globalized nature with social media like Telegram, Facebook, and threat of radicalization of youth, increased operational sophistication, lone wolf attacks in Pakistan, grey zone warfare and hybrid warfare. Minister of Defense India never comes to an end. Okay, larger disruption and potential use of ISS attacks with changing modus operandi. I think good examples. It is coming on track. Again, I am saying global cooperation, unified framework, wide ambit of FATF, intelligence sharing, multilateralism, 5i alliance include global south, complete pending UNSC reform. This is very important. Capacity building and counterterrorism exercises with developing countries. For example, UN Office on Drugs and Crime with FATF to improve interoperability. Therefore, VEO's curtailment should be the key global agenda for global good and prosperity. It is true, but then one must bring in this answer also that violent extremist organizations, even Taliban, they got legitimacy. And here, the big powers, they are actually protecting their own interests, one who indirectly or directly patronize, and they are the ones who want to protect their own turfs. Basically, it is about the turf war. So one VEO is not a VEO in other countries' eyes. That is how it is. So, and in case of India, you have to bring northeast and proxy war of Pakistan. Both these ideas, then they will because second layer will be coming like that. With LSE remaining tense after the Galwan and Yangtze incidents, both India and China ramping up inflation on border area, discuss the role that ITBP. Very, very positive question. So ITBP plays a core role. It is playing a core role. It is playing a role of a peacekeeper. It is playing a role of a bridge. It is playing a role of a binocular. It is playing a role of a vigilant eyes. It is playing a role of a very, very important guardian of our border. So India-China stable relations are the key to achieve Asian century. Very good start. Adhere to disengagement and de-escalation, while diplomacy to maintain integrity and peace. So the diagram is fine, but then ITBP ऐसा करके पूरा ऐसा लिखा जाना चाहिए इसके साथ. तो question demands ITBP, so ITBP must be coming up wherever feasible, and we have to push it. Infrastructure development is a concern for India. It violates land border agreement and changes status quo LAC, unilateral actions and incursions by China. So that is what ITBP and other forces are fighting for. Baseless claims to the region Arunachal Pradesh. So the question is about ITBP. So whatever China is trying to convey, whatever China is trying to uphold, whatever China is trying to take back, ITBP is standing in between. So that is how the answer must be molded rather than role of ITBP coming in the end. Safety of civilians in eastern Ladakh and large range along Yarlong, Sangpo, and possibility of water war, water treaty everywhere ITBP, Indo-Tibet, because it is Indo-Tibet border police. So one has to bring the idea that how peaceful relations have thrived between Indians and Tibetans also. Dalai Lama and their headquarters at Dharamshala, it has been made possible because of the blessings and because of support of the Indian government, Indian people. But then the role of ITBP, directly, as I just said, and indirectly it comes up. It is never seen as a force which is actually creating chaos at the border. तो बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी, इंटेलिजेंस शेयरिंग, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट, ये बिल्कुल सही है, लेकिन इसके अलावा भी आप ले आइएगा. What are the major drivers of the glacial retreat in Arctic? Let's see the set 2. What set 2 is talking about? First set we have covered. Describe the pathogen. Recent dip in population of polar bear due to migration of seabirds, sea shields, fishes raise question about livability of Arctic species. Cyclical retreat in Arctic has increased 5 inches per year to 16 inches in 21st century. So again, start, but then the first question start were more objective, but this is also fine. But let's see how the narrative is going on. Major drivers is warming of sea temperature, irregular weather pattern, Atlantic. This is a very good point. Point number 2, meridional and overturning circulatory, impacting circulation in Arctic Sea. Polar stratigraphic clouds strengthening, leading to rising concentration of greenhouse gases, depleting ozone layer. Greenhouse gases reduces albedo effect that I just said in the first question also. Resource extraction for geopolitical rivalry, we already said. In spite of retreat, Arctic is devastating for nature and society. Why? Because circular uh, heating of seas due to melting and leading to sea rise, very important. Biodiversity loss, migration, we already said. Temperature zone, local economics altered due to fisheries and depletion. It depends on if this question is coming in the geography, world geography, then more ideas about economic geography, human geography, and physical geography we have to bring into picture. So this is a very good point. Short-term benefit, New Zealand, Arctic, Vladivostok, and Chennai, like oil, gas, but long-term social cost will be there. Arctic Council, UNFCCC, we already said. So fair enough, we have to take it to the little bit more, appropriate level. Space tourism is a reality. So SpaceX goal to colonize Mars for deep space exploration and human habitation is somewhat sci-fi. But recent Artemis Accord between 52 countries, including India, is to look habitation base and in mood is becoming reality. So Artemis Accord is an important point over here. So new development in space tourism like increased lunar vehicle capsule capture, Now, Gaganyaan mission, ISRO, and sustainable suit, NASA, easy and affordable uh, work and job done by ISRO's capability is showing. However, there are challenges. Space pollution, debris, already said, high energy cost, greenhouse emissions, space race, corporatization of space is a good point, economic hierarchy and inequality, and then space security challenges is already there, and then adhering to what can be adhering to UNHDR 1948 Principle on Humanity, Outer Space Treaty 1967, use of technological uh, R&D is a good point, and peace clause peace clause is a good point. So all these points, I think the first one was more diverse, and these are also good. So it is a fairly competitive and fairly moving ahead. Global health expert widely believe the development of CAR cell therapy. So we are talking about again CAR cell therapy and CRISPR-Cas9. So India's cancer burden would increase 2.1 million per year by 2030, ICMR 2024. Technological intervention, CRISPR-Cas9, one such technology, targeted gene editing. So this is, it has shown the targeted gene, Cas9 protein, so half marks more. It is effective and used in vaccination development. It's a good point. CAR cell therapy. Now this is working of CAR cell therapy. Here is where the examiner is going to give more marks. So how blood plasma taken separated cycle will continue to 7 to 8 weeks. Use of gene editing in lab and multiplying of T cell, and that is how serum batches reflected again transferred back in the patient. The CAR cell therapy has advantage. Personalized therapy is a very good point. Human trial successful, having no less adverse reaction, using body's immune system plasma, and several iterations required as composed on one-time editing as compared to one-time editing in Cas9. So I think the diagram is going to make a lot of difference. It is bringing a lot of clarity. That is what one can say. New and emerging technology by prominent VEO. So new and emerging technology, hybrid warfare is a good point. Gray zone warfare is also a good point. Asymmetric warfare is also a good point. These are good vocabularies and challenge to security agencies. Methi cookie war, cryptocurrency money laundering, uh, like in case of it is showing part of Sinola cartel drug bust in Noida, face transplantation by prominent member to go underground, and then cyber attack by Hamas. So they are key areas, key points. So good ideas. Deal with the threat as international coordination by Interpol, other agencies like IAPA, Chennai, sorry, Chemical Weapon Convention. It will be very much important. Asymmetrical warfare threatening existing pedagogical method of armed forces. Treaty-based compliance होना चाहिए. Like they are talking about how it must be ethical also. There must be ethical use of AI, making the stakeholders aware, responsible role. That's what one can say. Technological counter via R&D, sustained collaboration. India, USA is an example. Thus, adequate capacity building and functional approach is needed in global area. First, like climate change. So we are just moving ahead. We are taking up the level higher, bringing some more facts. So it is about China, LAC, see, like as I just said, Aksai Chin, Galwan, ITBP zone. So India China border issues, mobilization, Doklam Galwan 2020. Both are ramping up infrastructure. India is ramping up. One must say, India infrastructure near to ITBP. India's intricate vibrant village program, as I just use of BRO for strategic development, donor for integrating northeast to the mainland. China use of Tibet for redevelopment, Heidel Dam, and military base. So a little bit more facts and more idea here we can see. It is here that IDBP plays very important role. Border patrolling. So IDBP is the center of the answer, rather than the rest of bringing it to the end. Border patrolling established under 1996 agreement and to 2013 border patrol. Use of force people connect for confidence building is a good point. Like Sherpas, use of technology, integrated border management, night vision, camera drone, coordination with other forces, and then you have access and send report to MHA on the ground situation. Certain issues, police role, overlapping operation role is a very good point. Pay structure not equivalent in army, very good point. Development of officer Deployment of officers from CRP, that happens with all the CAPF, Central Armed Police Forces. Thus, based on recommendation of Standing Committee on Home Affairs, ITB must become cadre-based specialized force. So, little bit more awareness in the answer is reflected. Coming again to the final round with respect to the glacier retreat, WMO 40% of Arctic, 40% 1975, acting as tipping point. Okay, इन्होंने anthropogene destruction को किया. Major drivers: global warming, urbanization, deforestation, vehicular emissions, agriculture. So little bit more generalized, little bit more simple, but then that's fine. उसके बाद potential impact: carbon emissions 92 billion, methane emission more than total concentration of current GH4 levels, CH4 levels, rise of diseases, Russian anthrax break, geographical changes like changes in the ocean current movement, sea level rise, IPCC 1 centimeter rise by 2100, impact indigenous population, good point, positive impacts, unexplored oil, rare earth metals, in Arctic, new source of energy, less shipping time. Arctic must be supported with collaboration, effect, and SDG 13. So nothing specific, but then one or two point here and there we can take up. Space tourism, US 50 billion industry, like the way we started, risk for human life, vulnerability in space increases, debris issues, commercialization of space, as I just said, these points are already visible. Carbon footprint will increase, intensity, social inequality is a very good point, lack of robust technology and experiment to judge the longevity. Measurement measures includes international protocols like Outer Space Treaty, Moon Treaty, debris removal mechanisms like NASA's debris avoidance maneuver, ISRO's NETRA, large private sector role, facilitation, renewable mode of milestone missions, and then utilize the proceeds of the space tourism for R&D and welfare activities. So nothing much specific must separate, but then couple of micro point we can just take up. Chandrayaan, Artemis, and what was there else? It is Chandrayaan at Artemis, Juice. These are all examples. Now with cancer, that is CAR T cell therapy and CRISPR Cas9 मॉडर्न लाइफस्टाइल. ठीक है, आपने जयराम रमेश कमेटी की बात की, हमने नहीं की. टेक्नोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशंस, chimeric antigen response, CAR T cell was genetic engineering or to alter the immunity delivering T cell that could encode target proteins to kill the cancer. So the basic definition must always be there, understanding must be reflected. Advanced, why it is advanced? Because it is saying that Cas9 protein was used with genetic Caesar technology to encode target genes to tackle cancerous cells. Requires minimal intervention, minimal infusion in body, reduces frequencies to hospital visits, reduces risk of body's repulsiveness, low cost, more scalable than CRISPR-9, less side effects, targeted approach. We already mentioned all these points. Better proliferation and survival rate compared to CRISPR-9, requires stringent laboratory conditions for Cas9 protein to be activated. This is very difficult to achieve. So cancer survivors are not warriors, but the one who is going through the treatment itself is one. CAR T therapy becomes the largest weapon in this fight. So good point. Extremist organizations like ULFA, IAS, IS, LET have used emerging technologies. Okay, Pulwama attack used YSMS malware, drone attack surveillance, cryptocurrency, robotics and 3D manufacturing for arms and ammunition, social media for polarization. See, spelling of polarization is, I believe, wrong. AI and ML for monitoring and detecting patterns. So this requires global efforts because threats see no boundaries, regional stability, BIMSTEC subgroup, collaborative investment, that is pooling up capital and technology. Cybersecurity is a threat. Cybersecurity is at threat, and cyber warfare is also a big threat. Mutual agreements needed for technology transfer, capacity building, Limoa, Comcasa, global organizations like Interpol, FATF. India's goal for comprehensive convention on terrorism. So fine, India is coming up somewhere, and general points are visible. We already worked on those. If we see the question on LAC with respect to India and China, and discuss the role of ITBP, which with that plays in this region, even after the sharing Treaty of Peace and Tranquility 1994 and strategic partnership, India-China border remains vulnerable. So good point. Role of ITBP: act as deterrent, patrolling and monitoring. Operation Pahel, one extra point is there. Vibrant village program already mentioned. So answer number 2 and answer number 3, they are bringing role of ITBP in the center and not other way around. Use of AI to translate Mandarin to Hindi, capacity building. So good points. I think the second answer was fair enough. Information dissemination, border protection, reinforcement technologies, interventions. Shortcoming: lack of theaterization. Very good. Very good word. Like theater, we need theater command. Like you are able to handle, you are able to visualize, you are able to reinforce, you are able to assess. This is missing. Scope for use of modern technology for capacity building. Madhukar Gupta committee. And then lack of strength and training. This is wrong. But most training and strength is required, but there is strength. Geographical terrain is harsh. And I agree with that. There is maintenance of infrastructure. You can't say now. Parliamentary Standing Committee noted that most expenditure on border area development and infrastructure, no, not on education and health. This also must be there. So, border of the country being protected by the grit of organization like ITBP. So, as I just said, this would have been the tone and tenor of the answer. So, I think fair enough. Good efforts and more emerging dimensions and areas are visible this time. What you have to say in terms of takeaway and the future note?
So, in this last answer related to ITBP, the way I wrote became like reverse in manner. So that I'll keep in mind. And rest, sir, where diagram is needed, I'll try to showcase more
Because knowledge
basics.
is required. See Casper 9 how it works, and card
Party cell,
so
how
that
that
has to be
works.
like बिल्कुल उसका
Hmm.
सब कुछ लाके रख दो.
G.
That is what it is demanded.
Hmm.
Yes, I think on track. You want to say something else to it, then please tell me.
No, sir, nothing else.
I think on track. Keep on moving with the same spirit and ideas, and let's move forward with the same intensity, same clarity, and same happiness. Keep on working, and everybody must strive the best to get success. Thank you very much.